Hello, hi. My name is Master Clive Harrison, Chief Instructor of MCHF TKD and also the Co-Technical Director of the ITC, the International Taekwondo Council. This series of podcasts is designed so that we can introduce our committee, instructors and students that we have in the ITC to a wider community, and they can share their achievements and their experiences for the benefit of anybody that would like to listen to them. We're going to kick it off today with the top man, Master John McNally, who is the brains behind the ITC. And first of all, John, can you give us a brief history of your martial arts journey, please?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I started Taekwondo, well, I started martial arts when I was just before my 9th birthday back in I'm trying to work out my date of birth now. With all this COVID, I'm losing track of time, dates, etc. So would have been just before 1980, the end of. Started in Cardinal Wiseman in King's Landing, doing karate in Shotokan, and then I done Wateroo. Got up to black belt and second degree in a couple of them, and then basically proceeded. And then I come across Taekwondo when I was about, I was about 16, 17. Ultimately, I done my first degree in my first school in got the youth centre in King's Landing, and got my first degree in 1990. And then life got in the way, etc. Had a break for about a year, and then went back as a beginner under Grandmaster Ron Sergey with the THB, and progressed really nicely in that. Helped him teach him from about green belt, where I took part in the classes to assist with lower grades as well. Although green belt is a low grade, I always knew I wanted to do martial arts and teach. So I started right from then. Got my first degree with the THB in 96, 97, and then obviously moved through the ranks there. I achieved 6th degree under Grandmaster Livicage in 2015, and if I'll be lucky enough, I might, or is it unlucky enough to go up the ranks? It tends to be a little bit more pressure as you go up the ranks. Not that the ITC doesn't give me enough pressure with the COVID situation at the moment. But yeah, let's see what goes on for the next year or 2 years, or as we progress forward.
Okay, what have been the highlights of that journey up to black belt?
In my early days, to be honest with you, it was the actual training itself. I loved it. It was a real good highlight of energy for me. It was putting my issues when I was younger. I was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit less controlled, and Taekwondo helped change that. Taekwondo overall, to be honest with you, if I look at my later life, the things that have gone on at certain points in my life, it's actually saved my life, because I've had, like a lot of people, stresses and strains, and thought about doing things that you shouldn't really do, but Taekwondo and having students and having responsibilities have prevented me to doing certain things, and I've gone forwards. Even when I've had cancer, it's given me a motivation to fight it. I think it actually sorted my mind out, because when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was a case of the doctor saying it, my wife getting upset, a bit of a shock to the system. But then all of a sudden, in my head, I just went, right, let's get on with it, let's deal with it, let's just crack on. And that is the mindset of a martial artist that has seen failures, passes, achieved different things in competition, whether on the open circuit or within Taekwondo itself, within the THB that I was obviously a former member of. And I've had, it gives you that fighting mentality. Within my history of Taekwondo, I've had the pleasure to meet lots of different people, all sorts of individuals, and learn from them. I still am learning today for myself, to be perfectly honest with you. I look up to you, I do respect you, I respect
Well, you're the one.
Yeah, we do play each other up, and Master Harrison may look at me and still think I'm a whippersnapper, but I don't feel it. A cheeky one probably at that. But we do have the banter. But the people I've actually managed to meet, one of the highlights was obviously first meeting you when we went down to the Puma competition, and you was interviewing Master Roger Lawrence.
That's right, yeah.
The situation about me going down to that Puma event, my guys were down there competing. I wasn't actually going to go, but certain things happened. I went down there to have a word and sort issues out at the day. which we won't go further into detail about for obvious reasons.
People concerned know who they are.
Yeah, you know, they talk a load of nonsense, but they can't back it up when you're in their face. And then they have to obviously tell the truth, and the people around them that were standing there actually know the truth. So, you know, people will say things about you behind your back, but tend not to say it to your face.
You meet all sorts in the martial arts, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in regards to my highlights, yeah, meeting Grandmaster Lewis, who's a gentleman and an exemplary skilled person who has given me some guidance in a lot of different aspects, but also you look at his skill set and his determination, same as Master Harrison, which should be going for his 9th degree this year, by the way. So congratulations on that, and graded for every single one of them as well, which makes me a little bit envious because I can't really grade anymore with my issues. Yeah, and then meeting Master Willie Lim and being able to give him a certificate for a Grandmaster of Martial Arts, not just of Taekwondo, just of general knowledge and Master of Arts, which was a wonderful time. It's such a privilege and honour. Yeah, so I've met a lot of different people that have had influences.
Okay, you've obviously got a lot of respect out there. Because
to me?
Yeah, for you, a lot of respect out there for you. And that's been shown by various people around the world and heads of associations, in some cases even world bodies, that have presented you with honorary masters and grandmaster certificates. And I know you get embarrassed about that, but one, it is honorary.
Yeah.
It is honorary. You're actually a 6th degree in a bona fide 6th degree in Taekwondo.
I'm very proud to be.
Yeah, it is honorary, but it's also a massive honour for you that these people think that much of you and what you've achieved through the ITC to award you with these grades.
I really do appreciate it, to be perfectly honest with you. To be called a Grandmaster in a separate martial art, as I say, Taekwondo, but a different style, to be recognised by your peers is quite a big thing, and sometimes it's something that I don't really it's hard to appreciate to a degree, but then you realise, you go, hang on a minute, it's not about you saying, I'm a 6th degree, sorry, I can't accept that, it's, you know, this is where I am, this is where I stay. I would never claim to be a Grandmaster, even probably if I ever live long enough or reach that sort of degree, but yeah, I have to respect the fact that these people are saying, well done, you know, congratulations on what you're doing.
The bottom line is they didn't have to do it.
No, they didn't.
They didn't have to do it, they did it because they wanted to. So on that subject of the ITC, and obviously what you've achieved since its inception, which was when?
September 2010.
So 9 years ago. No.
10.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago. Okay. Where did the idea for the ITC come about? What made you think, I don't know.
I was just sitting in my living room and I thought, I mean, I left my association for one reason or another. We had a bit of a falling out at the black belt grading.
As you do.
And again, I don't talk about other groups, or, you know, what's happened has happened. And I respect my history. Being part of that group was wonderful. My journey being part of it, and what I've learned and taken away from it, was absolutely fantastic.
Well, Grandmaster Sergey actually made a comment once, and he was playing Master Kenny Walton at the time, and I think it dates way back, and Kenny was ribbing him up about, I think Ron won a match against Kenny, and Ron made the comment. He actually said, "History is history, Miss Kenny. History is history, and you can't change it.
No.
What's happened has happened." So
I wouldn't want to change it. I've got a great amount of respect for what the THB have done and where they've gone. I mean, you know, you've got to tip their hat to them. They've grown a wonderful association, and the abilities of the persons within that group are phenomenal. Or were, as far as I was concerned, was phenomenal. And I remember seeing Master Ron Sergey, or Mr. Sergey as he was when I first started training. The kicking abilities, the flexibility, and what he'd done, and after operations that he had as well. I mean, fantastic. Meeting Paul Donnelly, obviously sharing time with him, and so many people within the THB. They were great, and I can't take that away from them.
Well, my instructor was Grandmaster now, Don Atkins. He was TAGB secretary right from the word go, I believe, and he's still there now. you know, and what he has achieved is phenomenal. What the TAGB has achieved is phenomenal, and nobody can take that away from them. Yeah.
You know, we all. I think at some point we always come across where people do have differences and opinions. Me and you might not agree on a movement on at all. It's not the case of I'm just going to go. I'm not going to talk to him anymore. You know, it's a case of and there's some things that may be more serious to a person. You just have them, and that's. I moved away in the end for my reasons, and we separated from them reasons. And I think from there, that's where I went, there's got to be a better way to be able to be more inclusive for everybody. And thus, I was sitting in my living room, and I scribbled down a few things. What would I like to change? What would I like to see done? And then by meeting lots of different people, I realised there's such a big world out there, and it wasn't so, I would say it's so open to be able to just go and train with whoever you want, respectfully. If you don't agree with them, respect their options. We all have our own choices, and that's what started the ITC. It was just a case of being able to come together and train without any sort of restrictions. At that point, I'd founded the Absolute Taekwondo Association, and I think that's where I first talked to Grandmaster Kwang Duk Chung, and we shared a lot of conversations via email and message, etc. And it was a fantastic time, to be fair. And I was offered my senior degrees there, and I respectfully declined them because it was such an important person. I had to be polite and respectful, and then he would charge Grandmaster Livesage to ensure that my gradings were not so much caught up with, but continued, because I'd stayed at certain grades or I'd missed certain grades and just left them. But that's where the inception came about. We created the ITC, and it's flourished since, to be fair.
Okay, what kind of problems did you have to overcome to get the ITC off the ground, up and running, and out there?
Initially, it was a case of, how do I do it? You're thinking, what's the best way? And at the time, Facebook was relatively still new. It was a fantastic medium to bring people together and actually talk to people you'd already met. And once I put this out there, Mr. David Anderson, a great guy, unfortunately can't train anymore due to his issues. He shared the ideas, and so did Grandmaster Livesage, with a whole lot of people. And once they start to see what I was trying to do, I found it got a lot more support, and it just boomed overnight. And then it's turning it into a registered organisation, so that people can actually take part, have discussions, have a website, and take it further. And then eventually me and you started to talk, and you were very quizzical. I
was very cynical.
Very, very cynical.
Because we both had our fingers burnt so many times. Another one who says they do this, that and everything else. And it actually took me over 2 years before I couldn't find the catch. I kept looking for the catch, and there just isn't one.
And that's one of the things I loved about coming across you initially, because it was like, this guy's checking me out. What? But as you say, you've been part of different groups. People have tried to do different things, and they set their associations up. They fail in some, for whatever reasons. But this is growing so well because our core mission is to give you advice and support you, no matter the badge. I don't care where you are in the world. I don't mind whatever association. Just brings you together as family. And you coined the phrase. Yeah. What was the phrase?
Friendship through unity or something like
that. Yeah. Friendship through unity, definitely. Yeah. We've had people that want to join the ITC, and then they turn around and they say, well, I'm not going to join if you've still got that person in there. Or, I'm not going to join if you allow them in. And my response is always the same. If you don't want to talk to someone, don't talk to them. Don't work with them. Doesn't matter. But if you're going to leave because another group comes in, I'm sorry, but leave. And when you grow up, then you can come back.
Because that's the kind of divisions that's caused all the problems over the years, and is still causing the problems.
Yeah, continues to now. Yeah. People want to say their things about me, you. We've got as many people probably dislike us that like us. They say things about the ITC, or they say things about the newly formed TC UK, which we might cover in a bit. But you can't argue with the fact that we've got about 32 groups now that are part of the ITC and the TC UK, which is larger than most other groups or NGBs, but also at the same time we've got the cookie one that is a voice within the ITC that can share their opinions, we can verify grades, and the JIDIC one actually we now are a support system for them in the UK. They've already got obviously a registered person in there to help them, but the ITC as a congregational group can support them in the UK, so that's also what we do. Same with some of the ITFs, and we have persons that have moved from the ITF and registered with us, but we don't want to take anyone away from the ITF. What we actually would like to do is support the ITF in the UK or the groups. I don't think people understand that the ITC is an NGB. It's not a federation.
Yeah, it's not
a
association.
school. It's an NGB, and it's got lines off it all over the place. These people up here, and the ITC is just something to support them and keep them where they are and help them flourish and grow. That's my passion. That's what I love doing, and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. So well, it's already started actually. But I was going to say the next step is obviously international.
Yeah.
But I know that's already started, hasn't it?
Definitely. We've got people in Egypt, Germany, the Netherlands, Ireland, Southern Ireland, or RI, as I should correctly say before Master Paul O'Leary gives me a slap when he comes over in the summer for my 50th birthday. I believe he's coming over, which would be great to see him. He's a good guy. I like that guy, a lot of respect for him. And Seoul in Korea, we've got Cookie One persons out there.
India.
Yeah, India. Grandmaster Pawanandra Gurung, Grandmaster Khalil Jabran, who's in Korea. There are people everywhere. It's just a case of now we want to try to solidify who represents the ITC in them countries and have representatives there. I've spoken briefly to a major entity in America, and they've got to just consider whether they want to work with us and represent the ITC and make it truly global, because again, it's giving people options.
Yeah, you're not saying if you join us you've got to leave them.
No.
That's the difference.
No.
That's
Not
the
at all.
difference.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to leave your parent association. And this is what I couldn't get my head round. You know, and I kept there's a cat. There's a cat.
Yeah.
There's a cat. I'll find it. I'll find it. It took me nearly 2 years, but I never found it because there isn't one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times we've shared conversations over the phone before we actually met, and then I think, did you come here or did I come to your home first? One or the other anyway, but we sat down and we started talking, and there was a lot of questions, and it was a case of, okay. We found we connected, and going forwards, it's been fantastic. And with your skill set, it means that anyone that's independent, that feels maybe a little bit lost of where they want to go with their school or group, it means that you've got, the ITC goes, well, there's a door, there's a door, there's a door, there's a door. It doesn't matter what the postcode is, it doesn't matter what the house number is, you're still welcome through it. So you can continue your journey by having a support network of a master becoming grandmaster, hint hint, Mr. Hopwood, Grandmaster Hopwood, sir. And then with my grades, I will be, I don't think I'll have a choice at some point, it will be, and then Grandmaster Village. You can go to anyone you want, it's your choice.
I think one of the problems is if somebody has been in an association for so long and they're not happy, but they don't feel that there's if they leave, they are frightened. I mean, I remember when I left the TAGB, I was terrified. I was terrified.
So was I, yeah.
Yeah, I was terrified because there was no ITC or any support group out there. It was sort of right, get on with it.
Yeah. And you thought you was going into a world where there was nothing else.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was always a case of we are the best and we are, and to be fair, they were.
They are, yeah.
You know, they were.
They were the biggest.
Yeah. But
still are.
It's like, no, they're not.
Oh right, okay. Sorry.
Sorry. But they're
doing
great. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want to step on anyone's toes.
No.
Not like that.
No.
We just are purely giving you options. Do what you do what you want, but we will support you. So going out in on your own was a very scary option.
It was, and it still is for some people.
Yeah.
It still is because they have it pumped into them all the time, you know. And what it does is once you leave, I mean, I've been in 3 different ITFs. Started off in the UKTA back in the 70s with when Grandmaster Don Atkins opened up in Worcester in 1979. We were in the only ITF in those days.
I'm sorry, I was
under
only
PRE.
I was only 8 years old then.
Oh, you're a baby. And then since then I've been in Choijeonghwa's ITF and I've been in Chang'ong ITF.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
So if you just stay in one association all the time, like some people have, and we all know people who have started off as a white belt in an ITF or an association and they're now grandmasters and they've been nowhere else, it doesn't give you that much, you get experience by travelling around, training with different people, working with different people. I mean, like yourself, I've worked in with some phenomenal people over the years, absolutely amazing people, either in the TAGB, so I was a founder instructor in the TAGB in 1983, along with my instructor, the GTI, then NETA, then my association, and the various ITFs, and I've had all these different positions. And you meet and work with so many people. The experience you get is phenomenal, which you don't get if you're just in the one all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you can still stay in that one organisation, and quite rightly so, because you have your loyalty. But it's two ways.
You weren't allowed to mix though. That's the difference.
But I think having that loyalty to your seniors or where you are is wonderful. But ultimately, at the same time, you've got to have loyalty back to you as well. You know, you've respectfully stayed with that person. They've got to support
to learn
you as
and
well.
to grow.
Yeah. So you can stay with that group and go around and see different people and train with different people. What's the problem with that? I don't get it.
No.
Is it fear of not being? I mean, you always get the questions on grades. Oh, we don't recognise that. We don't recognise this. It comes down to that at the end of the day.
But if you don't recognise a grade, there's got to be a legitimate reason for it, not just because you don't like the person who awarded it.
Yeah.
There's got to be a legitimate reason for not recognising a grade. I think anyway.
Well, we've had to do, unfortunately, go through that, haven't we, quite recently? Because we've had to step up our background checks and procedures to make sure everything is in place. So sometimes you just have to turn around and say, no, that grade's not recognised or verified for this reason, and that's the reason.
As long as you can give a legitimate reason, because it's got to be. You can't just do it just.
But I couldn't sit
to be
here.
Spiteful or vindictive. So
I couldn't sit here as a member of my group, the Absolute Taekwondo Association, and turn around to yourself and say, I don't recognise your 8th degree, sir, because I just don't. You're not part of my group.
Yeah.
That'd be
you didn't get it with me, so
yeah. But it's a case of, I think not recognising grades can sometimes be a little bit of a controlling nature, because some people actually demand respect because of rank they've achieved or they wear on the belt.
The number of stripes.
Exactly. And then they go, oh, you must call me sir, or you must call me senior master, or you must call me grandmaster just because they wear it. No,
and
I'm
they
sorry.
They look down on you, and I don't like that.
When I first met you, I said to you, how are you doing, Mr. Harrison? And then I went, oh, he's an 8th degree. And so I called him Master Harrison because of the respect I knew of your history. But if I don't know what your rank is to call you a certain, it doesn't really matter. I mean, someone walks up to me and they say, Master McNally, it's like, just call me John, or just call me sir if it's in a classroom environment, or whatever. But don't be calling me Master and Grandmaster or that sort of thing. Because I got the honorary award of the Grandmasterage, and I still get paid about it now. Master O'Leary phones me up or messages me, how you doing, Grandmaster? And I'm like,
yeah, right.
But the thing is, he's not really wrong, because a senior has bestowed that upon me. But I don't demand any respect because of that or because of my 6th degree. It's a case of I have to earn it. And I think in a lot of cases, I'd like to think that I've earned not just respect, but the fact that my nature of the ITC and what I do for or with people is good, it's wholesome. I like to think anyway.
Where do you think it's going to go? What's your vision for this? Let's say, where do you see the ITC in 5 years or maybe 10 years' time? Where do you hope that it goes to?
Well, the ITC will continue its same path. It's written into it that it must stay that way, no matter if I'm here or part of it or not. That's the way it must stay in its ethos, its vision. So as we progress by having persons in different countries, that will take it in slightly a path, but the core line will always be one. But we've got to obviously evolve, but having the same values all the way through. So as an international governing body, registered with the UK bodies, then obviously we need to keep that on the same path. But I think it will only ever grow with that core set of values. But even on the things like the website, we're always developing more things, so that more tools to help schools grow. We eventually see to the point that, and it's doing it already, to be honest with you. If you're part of the ITC, you get so much for free just for having a membership. You know, your instructors' insurance through our brokers is attached to that. It's free. It's part of that membership. And there are other things in the system that we've released recently to help schools be able to manage it. We've also put in attendances, so that it's by lesson you can recall the history of who's been in that lesson and see that individual's attendance over years, or whatever data you put in. Because with COVID, we've learnt lessons that we need to keep a track, and even more of a track than, I mean, me and Master Harrison, we like to use paperwork, keep it in a safe, you know, bit old hat. But we'll put our hands up, you know, technologies are not our greatest thing. That's why, you know, we build a team around us.
Back in my days, we were still using abacus.
Wooden one. And then, but you know, moving forward, just saying we're putting things in place that can help schools be more proactive for themselves, and that's the way we're going to continue.
We're lucky to have, like the old saying goes, if I don't know, I know a man who does. And that's the ethos of the ITC. We have great technology people in the ITC to help us. We have great people with skills like Master Roger Lawrence,
phenomenal,
who I will be interviewing later. Absolutely amazing competitor, top of his game for so many years. He helps out at the highest level with the coaching, multiple world and European champion, an amazing guy, legend in his own lifetime.
He will love you saying that.
I know.
He'll be there going,
I know. But we have all these different people. We've got the experience of Grandmaster Liversidge in there. I'm lucky enough to be given the technical advisor, and I work with Grandmaster Liversidge on that. He's the main man. I back him up and I help him with that. And we have people who have the specialist skills in the ITC. So if anybody has any problems or any questions or anything like that, somebody in the ITC will have the answer, and we don't charge for it either.
No.
You know, you ask us a question, or you know, you want us to help, we will help. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is about supporting each other, but we do it voluntarily. We do it freely. We don't pay, you know, for the time that we talk to you, or we don't charge you for the time we talk to you. It's free advice. I mean, there are obviously things in there. I mean, we've got a legal entity that represents us through Daniel Shen-Smith. He's a fantastic guy. He's a business entrepreneur, 6th degree, and he will give you some free advice. But remember, he's a barrister, so he will have to charge for his time. But he's there to be able to help you with legal options. There's so many different people in here. Master Harrison with expertise, Grandmaster Liversidge with his army history and stuff, breaking trees when he's parachuting. You know, he'll sort me out for that one later.
Yeah, it will be discussed at a later podcast.
Yeah, and me just being handsome, you know, just I wish. But we've got so many different people, diverse people, that we can ask pretty much any question of, get that support and advice, because we've all had major experiences within martial arts, to be fair. And if I don't know the answer, you will. That's
the whole point, isn't it? It's the experience you've built up over the years, which is what we were saying a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
If all you've been is in that little group there for 30 years, then that's all you know. It's the big world out there with a lot of people with a lot of skills. And yeah, I used to go up to Derby, and I used to watch Tony Saul do his squad training. I used to watch Grandmaster Dave Oliver do his squad training. I used to do the squad training with these guys. They were amazing, the training, and I picked up so many tips which I still use today.
I think Mr. Saul learnt to levitate. He just didn't teach anyone else, because when he jumps up, he seems to get up there and
hangs in the air,
kick, and then go and go down.
Yeah.
So you know, these sort of people,
legendary people. You know, Kim Stones, I would say Ron Sergiu, Paul Donnelly, absolutely fantastic people. to learn from. And I was in the TAGB from its inception for 10 years, and I used to attend everything, every tournament, everything. And I opened clubs up in the TAGB. I've had some great instructors. I've had some fantastic students. People like Mark Weir, Neil Williams, all world champions in their own right. But the way I taught them was from tips that I picked up by watching these other guys, by watching Kenny, by watching Tony, by watching, you know, I would watch and I think, God, that's a great way of doing that. I'll nick that.
You know, they won't expect us to be talking like this about them, but that's not our
truth.
problem.
You know,
it's
just
a case of,
it's the truth.
it is what it is.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
The skill set of them has been amazing, and what they've done has been amazing. I mean, when you say to me, what do I see like with the ITC into the future, I see it working like a tree, like Taekwondo, you know, the arch on the back, the tree structure, the whole thing, that it grows and it can reach out to all different schools, so that branch,
And with the
branches,
roots.
and then together we can be the tree trunk, we can be solid. I know it sounds a bit metaphorical, but it's true. If we got a lot of friends together, supporting each other and helping each other, that tree of martial arts is strong. But when you start getting branches that snap and don't want to talk to each other, the branch is weak and the roots start to crumble and it will fall over. Yes, again, I'm very much philosophical on it. But if you grow out and you give that support, yes, you're going to get the odd seed drop and they'll grow on their own, but they're ultimately part of the same forest, the wood.
If you promise something, you've got to follow through with it.
Yeah.
You can't turn around and say, oh, we don't, there's no interference and all this and that, we don't interfere the way we run your club. And then, as soon as you're in there, yeah, we've all been there, you know, suddenly the goalposts are not there anymore, they're over there somewhere. But that's one thing that I was looking for when I joined the ITC, where, again, like I said before, where's the catch? And there isn't. It is. And it's an old saying, you know, but it does what it says on the tin. There is no catch.
But people are afraid of jumping out the frying pan into the fire, you know. It's such a different concept, and I think that's the problem. It's a different concept. People look at it and they go, oh, well, you know, I'm going to belong to the ITC. No, you're not. You're taking part of an NGB, so you're joining the NGB, and the NGB advises you. If you don't follow that advice, then that's up to you. Don't follow that advice. Or if you don't want to go to that event, then don't go to that event. You're not. Or if you know, your school does what your school needs to do. Your group does what it needs to do. The ITF do what they need to do. But you can still be part of an NGB that literally goes, well, that's your support for your COVID, that's your support for your first aid, that's your support for your instructors, you know.
And if you want advice, pick up the phone.
I had, not mentioning any names, I've got a couple of people that have been talking to me, and they've said, you know, what do we need to change? And nothing. Just make sure you've got everything in place to be a responsible instructor. But that's it. We don't. They still ask us now, you know, can we do this 3-step? Can we do this too? Yeah, I haven't got the time or the inclination or want to manage your school for you. Then you do what you're doing in your school, as long as it's safe practice, carry on.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you've got your instructor qualification, you can be a member, first aid, DBS, etc.
Yeah.
That's what
that's it.
That's the core for you.
Yeah.
It's about supporting you forward.
And we offer that as well.
Yeah. There are about 5-6 different groups now that wouldn't actually exist if it wasn't for the ITC, because we've helped them create their groups, we've helped them get their suits, we've helped them do everything. So there's a lot of evolution that we've helped other schools, and a lot of people actually wouldn't know each other again if it wasn't with the ITC. Not saying that the ITC is everything, and they would never have met, but they have actually met through the ITC. So, you know, me and you might never have met.
No.
Cross paths at competitions, but we might never have met. I wouldn't have met your lovely, crazy, good lady.
Oh, don't start.
Rachel, she's fantastic. She's even with her hair.
Don't start.
Like this.
Much as a damn fruitcake.
Yeah. But then we've now.
We might even interview her in a forthcoming podcast.
Oh, I think that'd be good. That'd be fun. That's where you get told off a lot, I should imagine.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, the ITC has been a wonderful journey so far, and it will continue to be.
Good. Is there anything else that you would like to... Hang on, before we start that, all this work, what do you actually do to relax?
The last couple of weeks I haven't been able to do a lot, to be fair. I hardly slept. I I always feel obligated to reply to someone's question to help them. And literally, the only time I stop is when the wife slaps me. She says, put the phone down, put the computer down, because you're answering questions which can wait a little bit. They're not teaching tonight. Answer it in the morning. I've got to get a grip on doing that. I can't do it. So I've had over 1,000 emails, over 300 phone calls, etc. And it's like I always try to get back to people to help them or point them in the right direction to help other people. So to relax, I either go down into my dojo and punch a few things, kick a few things, go through patterns as best as I can. Yeah, and then I try and get out on my motorbike now and again. But it's going to be more now. It's comfortable to sit on. I'm now healed enough to be able to sit on that big beast. You know, it's a 2.3 litre rocket, and you have to be semi-flexible as a martial artist to sit on it and move it around. I'd love to go fishing again, but relaxation. What is that? How do you do that? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll let you off that. Is there anything else you would like to add?
We've got the TC UK now, Taekwondo Council United Kingdom.
Okay. Why was that formed?
We were going through the process of recognition with Sport England. Now, being an NGB means we are registered with the government, because as an NGB or a council, because you can't use that name without having their permission to use it, because you submitted your documents, you had your support letters off the members of the community to become an NGB, so that makes you an NGB legally. Sport England don't quantify what an NGB is, because they're a public body that is supposed to support the NGBs in what they do, and they do, but so we want to go through the recognition process, because they've got a separate recognition process, and like every company does, or the ITC does, we've got recognition processes to go through, so fair play, we're going through it. But they won't recognise the word international. So to continue to be able to support persons better in the UK and even closer, we created the Taekwondo Council United Kingdom in a specialised format that they want. The named executives and directors of the whole thing, and it's completely not for profit at all. So we actually use the ITTC to actually sponsor it. So it pays for its website, it pays for whatever the TC UK will need. So it is completely non-profit. We don't take any salaries for what we do.
No.
That's it.
So it's fully recognised now then?
No, it's not fully recognised yet. We're going to go through the process, continue again, submit the new name obviously to the to the Sport England, or the sporting bodies as to say, and follow their process, and then show them what we can do and see what they come back with, because obviously we both have to show them what they want to see, but also we want to see why they haven't allowed us to be a member yet.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's both ways.
Yeah.
They can't just say, oh, we don't want to recognise you because of this, that and the other. They've got to prove why.
Why?
And if they think we're going to stop, sorry, got another thing coming, because once I start on something, it gets finished. You know what I'm like.
The dog with a bone.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't challenge me. I will. You will proceed.
Okay. Would you like to just give the contact details for anybody that would like to ask us any questions, or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to go out on Facebook, and it will be on the website and as a podcast, etc. So you can contact us by office at. Unfortunately, the email is quite long because some tennis association got the abbreviation before us. So it's office at international-taekwondo-council.com. I know, frustrating. I hate typing all that out myself, to be fair. Contact me direct, 0377 337 6633, or obviously through Messenger, through Facebook. You can contact any executive. Master Harrison's phone number is
07976 986 439. 07976 986 439. I've only said it about 10 million times.
Yeah, it's. I think with the current situation, our heads get a bit fuddled because I don't even know what day we're on, to be fair.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, you know, you can be part of the ITC as an individual, school, group, whatever. Or if you want to, you can join Master Harrison's group of schools and get his support directly, or you can join the Absolute Taekwondo Association as well, or be under, Master Roger Lawrence under the GBTF, Great British Taekwondo Federation. So it's about having options. So if you want any support, give us a shout. Happy to help. And thank you very much for the interview, sir.
That's okay.
Putting me on the spot. I don't like doing these type of things.
Or you can do the same to me later on.
Oh, definitely will do.
Okay.
Get my own back. All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.